Hi guys, welcome to another episode of The Aspiring Entrepreneur. I'm your host Hamza Chowdhury. Welcome to today's daily stock recap. It's May 6th, 2021. It's Thursday. Hope you guys are having a wonderful trading week and a wonderful day. If you're new to this channel, guys, the way this channel works is we catch sort of a handful of tickers that we talk about in the day trading world and sort of bigger picture items. And then we essentially follow them during the week and just see how they play out. There are a handful of tickers that we do follow consistently, like Apple, Tesla, Palantir, and then we always add a handful of tickers after that. And so with that said, guys, as always, you guys have been killing the smashing that like button. I appreciate you guys for doing that. As always, guys, I appreciate you, and we're a 100% free content channel, so everything we say and do is really to help the community in general. We're not here to sell you anything. So guys, you know, as we mentioned before, is that the market's felt extremely overextended, and we've been saying that for a couple weeks, and you can tell, I'm sure, in a lot of your long positions that you've noticed massive amount of retreat. And essentially the stocks started retreating back here. And what was interesting about today, if you look at the last sort of hour, was that it really just in the 15-minute chart, right about here, which is about an hour 15 before the market closed, you can see there's just this massive amount of green candles, and look at this high volume that came in. And so we ended in a positive day, which was kind of interesting considering how much we were trading lower in a lot of stocks, a lot of positions. It doesn't matter what stock you were trading, there's a good chance that you saw some red. And so it was really interesting to kind of see how the market kind of came back. And you can see coming into Friday where we have options expiring and things like that, I wouldn't be surprised if we ended in a green way, considering that we've been sort of downtrending these last few days and consolidating. Okay, and so you can see here that where we were last week and where we've sort of been has been really flat. And so there's some market indecisiveness, but obviously a lot of stocks have been hit. Most of the ones that we've covered on this channel. Okay, and so overall, guys, same idea as we had this market retreat, but we're still looking at the risk to the the 50 day, excuse me, which is around 400, and that's still the same play here. But as we sort of hold these levels, obviously the 50 day is going to continue to come up, and like I mentioned before, it's clearly uptrending. So long term, we're still bullish on the market. It's just that certain positions that we may be in, just don't think that stocks can go lower than they already are. Okay, and so if you're constantly dip buying, and we've mentioned this, even back here, is that you're going to find yourself running out of money sooner than later. So my biggest suggestion is to wait for a reversal on specific tickers that you're passionate about, that you like about, before you get in for a long position. And please have a risk management plan, because that's going to save you a lot of these issues. So guys, Apple, excuse me, is where we'll start. Let's start actually off with the daily chart. Apple, guys, we've been calling it from back here. We said the 135 was clear top, and if you were to buy and start a long position, a starter size, to get it through this breakout at 127.50. And what we got here was, we mentioned that there was a 50 day, right? That the 50 day was going to start to flatten out because of this momentum and bullish side of Apple, and that we would probably see a bounce off of that, which just happened to be around the 127, the 127.50. And so guys, I mean, that was a solid play. So if you got anything below 127, congrats, but you're already $3 in the money from yesterday's lows, okay, or a couple days ago. And so $3 in the money for Apple is a big deal. It doesn't trade not necessarily that much in a range, but again, you had to bounce off the 50. And so what I mentioned was, it's a starter size, and so you can obviously cash out some profits if you're doing day trading. It is a starter size, so you could possibly cut it loose for break even if it crosses below the 50 day and we potentially get bearish and go off the 200 day, which is obviously a potential because we did have some consolidation here at these levels at 120. And so if we have a broader market sell-off, there's always that chance, right, that you can break some lows here around the 118. And of course, we identified the 117.80 as a very strong support, and we've identified that for months, okay, since post split. And so guys, great stock, showed great strength. I mean, you can see it was one of the few stocks that was actually up today. And so congratulations to any of you guys that follow this channel who've been waiting for that. And again, what were we saying up here, right? Trading is what? Sitting on your hands, okay? Not just jumping in, buying as it goes lower. You sit on your hands. You see a price point you like, whether it's the 50 day, whether it's a good flush, you get in, you live with the result, right? And so congrats. Tesla, we drew this chart that we've sort of been fluctuating a little bit. I mentioned that 650 to 655 was my range for the last few weeks, and that's what we got even today as the low as 650. And so a lot of these candles have been kind of giving us mixed signals in terms of a reversal on Tesla. And so I expect tomorrow, considering what we've had the last few days as a sell-off, that we should see a bullish day. And you can see we had a perfect bounce off that. And so if we closed near that sort of lower of the 650, be a little more concerned, but you can see we bounced off of that and we have this long wick here. And so again, strong consolidation here Palantir up in the 660s. We previously identified that as a previous resistance. We did close above it, so it is acting as support. And so I can definitely see us getting back up here, closing up to 700 tomorrow, similar to what we had last week. Okay, and so we get these big, strong engulfing candles, and then we just sort of sell off, and that's kind of what we've seen overall in the market. And like I mentioned, is the fact that Apple is holding those levels, those key levels of where it broke out. And if you guys remember, for Tesla, we identified that level at around 710, 715. Okay, and so that's where I want to see it hold and come back. So let's see how that plays out for tomorrow. And then for Palantir, guys, it was actually really disappointing today to see it break $20. It flushed a lot of people out, but you can also see that this wick also we got a lot of buyers back in. You can see the volume was definitely a little bit higher. We're at 91 million shares. Typically, we're trading about half of that, and so you can see that, you know, we're still flushing out a lot of these sellers who are pushing the stock down. And you can imagine, right, if you think about it, sort of big picture, is you could think about sort of what's happening is that a lot of these people up here, if I can find the right tool that I want to use, you can see that a lot of people here that were essentially buying, you know, from all the way up here, they're essentially down on the stock. Okay, and so basically from this point, starting from up here, all these people are essentially negative on the stock. Okay, and so if it's going down all the way from $45 down to here, you essentially have all of these people who are negative on the stock. And really at this point, the only thing people who are positive are really the people who got in initially, right? And so a lot of people didn't really hear about Palantir back here when it came off because it was a direct listing and it's been around for a long time, but people didn't really talk about it. But then once it had this bullish run, and keep in mind, guys, that first leg on the bullish run was the high was 33.50. See, I don't forget that, right? Because a lot of us got and held Palantir in the 20s and even in the low 30s, but keep in mind the first leg of Palantir really was actually 33.50. Okay, and so same idea, guys, is that the short-term price target again still 31.50. I still believe in the stock. It's just there's just a lot of weakness. Okay, and so again, long-term bullish stock on Palantir. Short-term still I feel like we can get to 31.50, which definitely sounds like an outreach. Sounds like it's way out of reach at this point. But at this, you know, at this point, knowing that the stock is flushed the way it has, it's only a $20 stock, guys. I mean, that is an absolute steal. They just renewed another contract with I think it was the Coast Guard today. It was another, you know, $6-7 million. And so there's just all this income. And what I really hope to see, again, like I mentioned in the last few videos, is we need to just see a profitable quarter. If we can see some profit and not some losses, which last time they did some shareholder, they took a loss for shareholder distribution or whatever it was. And so hopefully they can actually get that all cleaned up, get their books cleaned up and show profitability. And I think that'll be huge for this company, okay, and get the bears out of the way. And they've taken control really, you know, for quite a while, okay. And we've seen a lot of these momentum plays. We saw this on Spce too. And so we'll go through that. But guys, Bitcoin, no different, right? Same type of thing. You can see that we're kind of starting to stair step down. And so same sort of thesis, right, as we had this, and then we blew that top off, but we're slowly kind of making this sort of stair step. And so I expect, you know, again, that we'll get sort of back to the $40,000 to $30,000 range. I showed you guys several reasons for my thesis on that, and that's still at play. I understand that it's going back and forth and it's getting kind of choppy, but like I mentioned before, that I expect to see it, you know, start to slowly come down to these normal levels. As you can see, it free falled. It should free fall as it kind of just went right up in the air. Okay, and now it's just hanging out there. So a lot of you guys made a lot of money on it, especially with Dogecoin, and so I would definitely encourage you guys to take at least portions of your profits. You can obviously take them as it potentially comes back down. And again, I mentioned before too, guys, I can be completely wrong, and there's nothing wrong with that, but that's why I'm on the record and I give my thesis and my reasoning. And like I said, everything I see shows me that this thing wants to come back. Okay, so we could potentially see a short bounce off at the 20-day, and then like I said, mentioned, we could, you know, off the weekly, and then of course the down here between 30 to 40 is my near-term price target for Bitcoin. Spce, guys, same thing. It's just been an ultra weak stock, and I've actually been pretty surprised considering the news that's been coming out with the flights coming off and that they're going to start launching them soon. But I was really surprised because we had this clear top we set at $24 last week, and we're trading way below the 200-day. And so here's the anchored VWAP in the 200-day. You can see again we had what we thought would be a potential higher high, but now we made a lower low. And so we got down here to, I think it was like 1868, and so we made another lower low. So that thesis of a reversal hasn't happened yet. And so what's happening, right, is this is where you would cut off a long position. So let's say you bought along here at this double bottom, which we thought could be a reversal, and let's say you didn't sell. This is where you would have cut it, is when it broke these lows here around $20, okay? Because now not only are you red, but it's making a lower low, not a higher low, okay? And so that's what SPCE is doing. Does report earnings in a few days, so let's see what it can do, just like Palantir. So next week will be a big week for some of these stocks, these $20 stocks. The reason why I want to bring up AI is the same idea. I was kind of really surprised. I really had felt great with the consolidation that's happened recently, and the fact that we got up to 74, not once, not twice, but you can see how many times we've tried to break that level and we just weren't able to break it, maybe because of the low volume, and then we just faded off, and now we hit the bottom part of the Bollinger Band. We're making newer lows, and that really takes out a lot of the thesis that we had going in general, where we had strong supports at like $61, and now with the newer lows, guys, it takes everything out the door. And so again, the 50-day is still trading around $75, $74, but we need to break that level clearly as a top. And it's been a top for AI really since the end of March. You can see we approached it here in early April. We failed, started mid-April, failed, end of April failed, and now we're making lows. And so clearly the stock just doesn't want to get up there to our $82, which is right up here, short-term price target for AI. And like I said, just the overall global weakness in the stock market, I'm not surprised. But we also know that in 3 trading sessions, this thing can go from $60 to $75 to $74 in no time. Okay, and so it does have, if you look here at the average true range, it does have about a $5-6 swing a day, which makes it a great day trade. But obviously the algos play along with it. Okay, so with that said, guys, it's an 11-minute video. Hopefully you guys were able to catch most of it. If you have any questions or comments, do post them below. As always, guys, I appreciate you and I appreciate the support on the channel. I do watch the likes and subscriptions, and as we try to grow. And so as always, guys, thank you so much. Have a good night. Take care. Bye-bye.